it has not come to pass. So, and there we go. Mr. Wayne Gretzky is ready to join us, ladies and gentlemen. This is a momentous day in Blueshirt Banner Radio when we can actually talk to somebody famous. No, we've had a lot.
Besides each other.
Yeah, besides each other. So without further ado, Jim, you lead it in. I'll bring Mr. Gretzky on, and you tell him about what we're all about. And here we go.
Good evening, Wayne, Jim, and Eddie.
Go ahead.
Wayne, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, hey, how you guys doing?
Good evening. Welcome to Blueshirt Banner Radio. We're at an internet radio show for BlueshirtBanner.com, which is the SB Nation home of the New York Rangers, and we want to welcome you to the program. My name's Jim, and I'm here with my co-host Eddie.
Well,
and how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm good, and it's a pleasure to be on the show. And you guys are probably real diehard Ranger fans that have your own show on the internet and talk about hockey and the Rangers. So good for you guys.
You could say we're diehard fans, Wayne. Dying harder than ever this week.
Yeah, you know what? Somebody asked me today what I thought about deciding a playoff spot in a shootout, and it's difficult to swallow, but that's the rules. And I remember back in 1998, I got lucky enough to play in the Olympic Games, and we lost in the shootout to Czechoslovakia, and before I knew it, we were out of the Olympics, and the Czechs won the gold medal. So it's a tough pill to swallow, but that's the rules, and obviously the Flyer fans are excited about it.
Wayne, if they'd have had the shootout during your career, you probably would have had another 200 goals.
Well, you know what? I was telling you, I wish we would have had the shootout, because I think it's so exciting for the fans, and I think it's fun for the players. I think they enjoy it. But you know what? It's just exciting, and it's good to see it's in our game now. But I like the playoff way, too. I like the fact that you got to score a winning goal, whether it's 3 periods of overtime or 6 periods of overtime. You have to score to win a Stanley Cup playoff game.
Yeah. Well, Wayne, before we ask you some questions, why don't you tell us what brings you to New York tonight? Yeah,
I'm just here with Matt Ryan and Landon Donovan and, of course, Derek Jeter. We're all here for EA Sports. They had over 350,000 online gamers around the world, and they're bringing on all these winners. I think there's 12 in total that are here in New York, and they're all playing off. And each of us will play against the champion of that particular video game. And, as I tell people, I'm not very good at it. It's fun. My kids all play like most kids do, and it's amazing to me how much reality is in these video games now, and EA has done such a marvelous job with every one of their games. So, yeah, we're just here to have some fun and enjoy ourselves, and anytime you get to say hello to Derek Jeter, it's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah. Wayne, this is Eddie here, and I want to say it's a pleasure to talk to you. It's a thrill for me. And I'm around your age, and I remember those games. See, they got too many buttons on these games nowadays. There's like 7 buttons. I mean, I liked it when they had 3 buttons on a game, and then you could, it was simpler. I think as you get older,
I agree with you, and I'm going to talk to Mr. EA right now, and I'm going to get them to change from 7 buttons down to 3 because Eddie wants it.
Exactly.
But I agree with you. It's complicated. Whatever happened to the days of tabletop hockey where you just move around some dials, right?
Exactly. Knock hockey is on my speed, Wayne.
But here's the problem. That's why guys like you and I are no good at it. And my 9-year-old doesn't think there's enough buttons. So, did you ever think about you're too old for the video hockey games, Eddie? You might have to hang it up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm retired. I've retired for 10 years. I can't handle it. Hey, wait. You know what it is, too? They have all the buttons are X's and Y's. What happened to A, B, and C? They got all kinds of crazy things. I mean, but I tell you, EA does put out a great product.
Yeah, but listen, I'm on your side. I'm agreeing with you. I agree it should be A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3. I don't know the X and the Y's and all that stuff either, but you know what? Hey, listen, it seems to be working for the younger generation, so what do we know, right?
You know, I was just thinking about it. I remember back in the days playing Wayne Gretzky hockey, the video hockey game. You remember that one, Eddie?
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because we won Video Game of the Year, and I think it was back in 94 or 93 is one of the first video games that came out, and there was actually a gentleman who created the game, his company. His name was Jack Friedman, who at the time I didn't know, and then years later he became, him and his wife became good friends of ours, and he was the company that created this game, and it won, I think it was 92 or 93, it won New York Times Best Video Game of the Year, so that was pretty exciting. It was a good game.
Now, see, was that on Nintendo? I don't remember that being on Sega. I was a Sega guy back in the day.
Yeah. But you know what, Eddie, there was only 2 buttons. You probably would have been a Hall of Famer in that game.
I'm going to go rent. Can I rent somewhere? I'll go to eBay and get it. Now, Wayne, we wanted to talk a little bit, since this is kind of a Ranger program. We have, we actually have a big audience, which is unbelievable to me, but we do. And
great fans, that's why.
Exactly. And we love to hear that. You know, in New York, people are very skeptical, and you hear Wayne Gretzky, the great one, and he's great, and of course, before he came to New York, okay, we hear he's great, Eric Canada knows he's great, but then, you know how I knew you were great? Because you got 72 assists playing on a line with Nicholas Sundstrom and Bill Berg. Then I knew New Yorkers knew you were great. I mean,
well, you know what, Sonny was a really good hockey player, and Bill Berg would be the first guy to tell you that he was a defensive specialist, and if I gave him the puck, I'd always sort of tease him and tell him that I kind of was kidding, give it right back to me. It was a mistake. But you know what? He was a real consummate professional, and he took care of me, and he worked hard. And, I really just, the one thing I learned about coming to New York was pretty simple, that if you show people that you care and you play your heart out, people are going to adopt you. And you look at, Nick Swisher on the Yankees. He's not the most talented player on that team, but people love him because he shows up and loves the game and works hard every day. And that's what the motto I brought in when I came to New York, and it was something I had my whole career, but I just said, you know what, it takes time to show people that your work ethic is strong, and that's what New York fans want to see, and, that's why it was a pleasure to play here. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, and we love you right back. We have a chat room that goes on live during the show. Everybody giving you golf claps and accolades out the wazoo. They love you. And
you know what? They're but I always say to people though, the fans are unreal because they're honest. When you play bad, they tell you. You had a bad night or you stunk up the joint. And when you play well, they love you. And at the end of the day, they're diehards. And I had the greatest 3 years of my life, and I wouldn't trade it in for anything. I loved it.
And Jim, did you want to ask the great Wayne Gretzky a question?
Wayne, I had a question. We were just talking a few minutes ago before you came on about the maybe you remember the playoff game against the Panthers where you had the hat trick when you were with the Rangers.
Uh-huh.
I seem to remember that before you had the hat trick in that game that you got laid out really bad.
I think Joe Bernowski hit me if I remember correctly.
Was it in that same game?
Yeah, I think it was. It was an interesting series because it was a crazy thing. We played on a Wednesday in Miami, and I think we got beat 3-0. And we didn't play again until Sunday afternoon. And those days, I think the games were on Fox TV. And so we played Sunday afternoon, and I think we won 4-1 or 3. We might have won 3-0. I might have got the scores backwards. But we won game 2, and we were tied 1-1. And the coach at the time for the Panthers was Doug McLean, and he said that the difference in the series was going to be we were too old, that we couldn't play back-to-back on because we were playing Tuesday, Wednesday back in Madison Square Garden. And I think it was Esa Tikkanen got the game-winning goal in overtime in Game 3. And I remember Mess and I being pretty fired up that they thought we were too old to be able to play back-to-back. So we were fired up for that Wednesday night game, and that's the night I got the hat trick, and it was a pretty exciting night, and that got us off to a 3-1 series lead, and, we didn't look back. And, the sad thing was we had 4 or 5 injuries that year. Sundstrom, I think, got hurt. Burt got hurt. Karpotsov's mother passed away, unfortunately, in the middle of the Flyers series. So it was such a fun run, and I always tell people with our experience, I think we would have given Detroit a better series in the finals than what Philadelphia did that year when Detroit beat them 4 straight.
Yeah, and that was the series that, Eric Lindros he ran, roughshod over the. He had some series against the Rangers that year, and
yeah, he did. And you know what? Karpotsov missed Game 3 and 4 back in New York, and him and Brian Leach were obviously solid partners together, and Alf Samuelson and Bukaboom, between the 4 of them, they were really strong, solid defense, and Ricky was playing really well at the time. And when we lost Karpotsov and having 4 or 5 forwards that were injured, we just had so many holes that we just couldn't cover it up anymore. But it was a fun, exciting run, and everybody loved it.
Wayne, it's a real pleasure because, you've had such a storied career, and the fact that you remember your time as the Rangers in real detail and with real passion, that just speaks volume, to who you are and what you meant to us, and obviously what it meant to be a Ranger for you.
Well, you know what? There were 6 teams that came into the National Hockey League in the early 1900s, and New York was one of them. And when you put on a Ranger jersey, it's really something special. And I often talk about it with my kids. And not only was it enjoyable being a Ranger, but the friends we made here as a family, and the schools that my kids were able to go to and fortunate enough to go to. There's nothing but great things to say about the 3-year experience. And yeah, I can remember all the way back to my first goal against the Dallas Stars, so I remember it all pretty vividly.
Now, Wayne, I wanted to ask you one question. Getting off the Rangers thing, this is more of a I know you got limited time, but I have to get this out because I really want to kind of I don't know how to put it, but perhaps you can tell us. Canada losing in the World Juniors, how much that meant in your country, in Canada, in Canada, as opposed to as the United States, where it didn't get a lot of play here. And maybe you can tell us how much it meant for the Canadians to lose the junior championship.
Well, this is going to sound really silly, and I don't mean this to be sound pompous or egotistical, but I don't think this year, obviously losing the players and the team and the fans were devastated, but I think on the overall picture of things, it's like the American people who come up to me and say, you know what, we wanted to win the gold medal in Vancouver, but we're really happy for Canada that they won the gold medal. And I think the Canadian junior team had won 5 gold medals, 5 championship years in a row. They had won gold medal. And the fact that the U.S. came in and played as hard as they did and were able to beat the Canadian team in Canada, and with the World Junior Tournament being in Buffalo, New York next December, I think Canadians took a step back and said, you know what, yeah, we're mad we lost, but we think it's good for hockey that the U.S. won, and going into Buffalo, this is going to be great for junior hockey in North America. So I don't think it was as devastating as you might expect it to be in normal circumstances or at normal times.
Now, and counter to that, you got the Olympics, and you guys got the Olympics. Please, just punch. I mean, I know a lot of us were happy for you, and I mean, listen, that was a hell of a game and a way to go, and I mean, that really was. If you wanted to put a prototypical hockey game, what hockey's all about, that was the game, and congratulations.
No, that's the way the game should be played, and it was really icing on the cake to a phenomenal Olympic Games. The city of Vancouver and the country of Canada were really just incredible hosts. I think everybody who saw it on TV or went to the Olympics just truly enjoyed every minute of it. And as you said, the game was played the right way. It was played hard and it was fought hard. It was fast. It was physical. It's sad when there's a losing team in a game that's so good like that. I had a chance to go down. I took my kids down to obviously see the Canadian kids, but then I went over and saw the American kids. And one of my sons is a huge Zach Parise fan. So went down there and wanted a chance to see them and tell them how hard they had worked and how devastated it must be for them, but they should be very proud of what they did. And as I said to Ryan Miller,